darkened out or whatever. Anyway, I need some sun. That's true. Well, good afternoon. It is 1 o'clock, and so we will get started on Town Hall. I think that this probably will be a fairly short one, and I think we can go through a lot of stuff real quickly, and that can be good. So, if we can, Christopher, you want to light candle, and Reverend Denise, will you pray us in, and then, or wait, maybe depending. Oh, I guess we didn't even bring the candle out.
So welcome, everybody.
With you.
Happy they're here. I'm happy to be here. Getting this beautiful, that is one heck of a Christ candle. We got a big Christ here, don't we? Amen. Awesome. Oh, yes. I am so golden, yes. I've got this new little necklace for my birthday. It says Grandmama. So happy. I love being a grandmama. So we're going to light this beautiful candle for the Christ light in us. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Christopher. We see this light that is all around the world, but right now we're lighting it for that light that lives in each and every one of us. No matter how hard it is to light in our world, sometimes when we're living in that crack, it's hard to find that light. Yeah.
You want to try this one?
Yeah. It's the fan that's going.
Okay. Get it back to you real quick.
Okay.
The hands will lie around.
So how many Christ people does it take to light the Christ candle?
Father, Son, Holy Ghost.
So let's just take that holy breath and enter into this time and space, into this holy sanctuary where so many before us have gathered together. We just anchor in the awareness of the presence of God is here and now and is orchestrated through this ministry and each speaker here. Thank you, God, for our unique expression of you through this ministry. So we do call forth transparency and harmony and joy and information and sharing the good through this time in the unfoldment of who we've come here to be. We're so grateful, God, for you and each one in this space. Thank you. Thank you, God. Together, thank you, God. And so it is.
And so it is.
Amen.
Perfect. I don't know what happened, but something went away. There we go. All right. Wanted to let you guys know some of the things that have happened. I am very proud of the board. The board has been able, and the committees on the board. What we have decided to do is try our best to be able to get some structure as to what the committees do, what it is their responsibilities of, etc., so that we know when things come up to whom all of that information should go. So far, did I goof? So far, we have got approved the bylaws committee, the facilities, finance, fundraising, and preschool committees. All of those have submitted their charters, and they have been approved by the board. The ones that are still pending are the membership, strategic planning, and the policies committee. Those should be approved in January when we meet again. They've all been looked at, and we've got most of the stuff together for them, but we just need to finish those up. Just wanted to let you guys know where we are. Thankfully, Reverend Denise has agreed to stay until the end of March, and so we have got that all together. And one thing that's really interesting, at least until then, one of the things that's really interesting is that when we looked at the contract, there was money to bring her out, but there was no money to move her goods back. So there may be some planning in this whole thing that may mean that she just won't be able to leave even then. But but we'll see what we can do with playing that one together. At the last board meeting, we approved the UWM disruptive behavior policy. We have a disruptive behavior policy, sort of. It's called the campus policy, but it was a little harder to read as to exactly how it all goes together. So we have approved the UWM approved disruptive behavior policy, which is a little bit easier to read and a little bit cleaner and clearer. And then what we will do is we'll modify the campus policy in the real near future to be able to make that all a little cleaner too. And then the Board of Trustees, we've, in our training and in other things, have really been working on transparency, accountability, and so know that we've worked hard at all of that, and I think we're getting to a place that we know where we are and what we're going to do and be able to make things work better. There are some bylaws changes that have been recommended that are coming both from the Endowment Foundation as well as for the church. The only two things that we are looking at doing for the church for bylaws that will come up at the annual meeting, and I'm just going to give you a heads up so that you will know, is number one, changing the renewal date back to September the 30th. We went from September the 30th in 2018 to December the 31st in 2018, thinking that it may make it a little bit easier for people to be able to get their stuff in. And what we have found is that instead of it really helping, it waited until it's at the last minute, and then we're trying to get all of that stuff, the membership list and everything else together. And it puts a lot of stress on lots and lots of people and made it very difficult. And so it's going to be smarter for us, I think, to move it back to September. But these are bylaw change recommendations that are going to come to the congregation at the annual meeting in 2020 that will be implemented after that. So this would be for the 2020 September of having it then. So it's not going to change anything right now. We're not going to do anything with regards to this annual meeting that's coming up. It will be for the following annual meeting. And the second thing that we had wanted to do is because 2 years ago, or a year ago, the nominations committee, as you remember, ended up losing both of the congregant members of the nominating committee, and it ended up with only 2 people that were left on there, and it made it difficult. So what we want to do is right now we've got one alternate, but in case both people we were to lose both or a third one, just felt like it was probably smarter for us to have 2 alternates elected at the annual meeting to be on the nomination committee in case something happens, so that we've got at least 2 congregants that are helping us with the nominating committee. No, there's only one now, one alternate now. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry. If your question was, we have 2 congregant ones. The alternate ended up coming on to the nominating committee because one of the people on the nominating committee came onto the board. And so we don't have any alternates left. So if Cindy or Francine were to decide that they didn't want, we will be back in the same shoes we were a couple of years ago. And we just want to make sure that we got plenty of representation from the congregation with all of this. Yes?
So is it going to be very clear going forward? Is it going to be very clear the responsibilities of the nominations committee versus the election committee? Because there was much confusion in the past.
Yeah, and that's a wonderful question, and it's one that we're working on a lot right now. What ended up happening at the last board meeting was that we deleted, we took what was called an election procedures that they said was what was intended to be a policy, but it ended up being pretty much procedures more than it was policy. And so what is being done with that is we've passed a policy that is a true policy that says what the dates and some of that stuff are for the nominations, the elections, and all. But then the information that is in the procedures will go to each of those committees that they can then take the information that was in the procedures, that whole policy, make it to where they can adopt it or modify it as they feel appropriate, so that each of the nominating committee and the election committee can make up somewhat their rules using the rules that or the procedures that we've already got. Much, much cleaner. It's going to be to where everybody knows what that all is. Nominating committee can also say, we're going to add these things to what it is that we're doing. And that was a big problem last time, because nominating committee was told all you can do to vet is see whether they've been a member for a year. And if they've been a member for anything else, you can't do it. So we just want that to be clean so we don't have that happening.
And so the nominating committee is mentioned in the bylaws. I don't believe that other committee is. So you really need to look at that to see that it's in compliance with bylaws.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Do we have current bylaws?
We do.
Okay.
We do. And the only thing that's in there is the nominating committee is one of the standing committees. The election committee is an ad hoc committee, and so that can be looked at and done away with at any point in time if the board decides so, because it's not in the bylaws per se. So. Got it. I think what I'm going to do is try to move through some of these, and then at the end we can ask some questions if it's okay. So there, in the Endowment Foundation bylaws, there are a couple of things that, let me back up just a little bit. The Endowment Foundation has selected a financial manager, which is Morgan Stanley, to help us with all of that. We interviewed a number of different companies, and they by far were our choice, hands down, and they are wonderful. They will present to the board in January, and then they will present at the annual meeting to give you some information. At least that's my plan at present, to let you guys know who they are so that you will be able to have a face that goes with it. Doesn't mean that the congregation goes directly to them. It still needs to go through the Endowment Foundation, but at least the congregation will know who's managing the monies that are there. So there's a couple of things that we may need to do with it. One of the concerns they had is that if the stock market is really down, you don't necessarily want to take all 4% out at that particular time. You may want to wait a year to take the rest of that out. And so they said up to 4% is a smarter way of being able to do that. They wanted to be able to put the financial manager / consultant in. So there's a few of those things that need to be changed. There's a few of that type of things. And then they wanted to be able to have some parameters as to how much money was put into capital gain, cash, stocks, a variety of those, so that it's cleaner and all of us know what the overall parameters for the Endowment Foundation are. So it's nothing that is big, but it's just a few things that need to be felt like what needed to be in there. The election committee, by the way that the procedures are, was that we can have up to 6 people on the election committee. The 5 people that were approved by the board included Jim Earhart, Allison Peterson, Margie Hyatt, Brian Toucheron, and Rosie Kaiser. So those are the people that are on the election committee that will be making sure that things get done and everything kind of gets put together at the meeting. I apologize. That's right. We asked to have a board member, and I could not remember. And Ralph did sign up for that one. So that was the 6th person. I was sure there were 6 on there, and I couldn't get that. We tried to beat it around. So my apologies. Ralph is also on there. The other people that volunteered, but we didn't know for sure whether they really wanted to do it, became alternates, which is Giselle, Helen Hudson, and Kevin Wallace. And then I want to run through a few things that are important for you to know about with regards to the preschool. There are a couple of issues for the preschool that are safety issues that we need to get done. And so this is going to be done over the Christmas holiday. Number one is, you already know that you've probably seen this. This is the ramp that is right over here as you're going out to the parking lot. And what needed to happen was we needed to have egress on both ends of the lanai for the preschool, so that the kids, if something were to happen in the front, fire, anything else were to happen, they could get out and they could go both directions in case there's a problem. So this is there now, and there's going to be a gate put right there where that fence is. Second thing that's going to happen, you notice this is kind of greened out, the stairs that come down. Those stairs will be taken out so that there will be no way for going up to come back down into the preschool to be able to go into the rooms. Felt like that was something that needed to be done for safety of the preschool. And that will be done over the Christmas holiday. And then lastly, this area over here in front of the office area is low and is collecting water and makes it to where it's not working real well. And so they're gonna bust that out, redo it so that that gets done and drains appropriately. Now, there will be upstairs, and I don't have a picture for it, but the railings, I showed you a picture a couple of months ago that Bruce Hymack was up there when the rails fell out of the upstairs. Those rails are going to be replaced on the upstairs part, and there may be a few of the rails that get replaced coming down the stairs, particularly when this area gets busted out, because they're going to have some rails across there, otherwise you'll fall off into the hole. So this is all going to be taken care of. Everything's going to be done over the Christmas time, and make everything's... The stair on this will be busted out, and then on the next slide, and I'm pretty sure I'm saying this right, but I'm not positive. This area right here is low, and so that needs to be raised back up so that it doesn't puddle water in front of the door. Now, I could be wrong and it's this one, but I'm pretty sure it's this one, and I haven't been able to make positive. That was my understanding, and I haven't made positive with Sergio that I've got it right. So if I made a mistake, it's my mistake, and I'm sorry that I didn't make positive before I presented that. Next thing that I wanted to run through with you is where we currently are with the plan of action. As you remember, when UWM was out here, they gave us 10 things that we needed to do to be able to start even looking at having a new minister coming out. The 10 things that are on here, if you look over to the right-hand side, you'll notice almost everything is completed. So we are getting closer in the standpoint of where the board is of being able to look at that. What we now need to do is just make sure that the congregation is ready for a new minister. We are centered. We are where we need to be. Part of that is going to be making sure that we have got a number of people through the queue process and that the congregation is ready for a new minister, and we don't do what has happened the last couple of times. So we just want to make sure that we're ready for a new minister. But the good part is almost everything on the side is complete. Okay, President report. Thank you very much. Reverend Denise?
Great. So, yeah, I want to join with your appreciation of our board, that we have an amazing board who continues to, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Be committed and do this work. And this is some of the things that is happening right now. We're polling the congregation to look at the possibility of going to one service in January. And I really like the idea of filling the room and energetically, but also really bringing us together as one Ohana. So I hope to, in January, February, March, is to start some healing circles. And I was just telling Ann, I said, I think it's going to be called Ohana Circles. And so that will be, going deeper and just chatting about where we are, where we want to be, what's happened. There's still grief here from the loss of Reverend Sky. We want to be real about that and what happened the last few years. And, we just want to create a space to have those conversations. We're in the background doing the queue process, nonviolent communication or compassionate communication, so that we're being able to communicate more authentically, but without causing harm, right? So that's sort of what we're up to as well. We're working on the 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. And some of you may remember I did a video, first or second Sunday I was here, about living above the line or below the line. And, above the line is I'm curious, I'm loving, I'm compassionate, I'm collaborative, cooperative. I'm living in the flow of all is well. I'm not anxious, and I'm present to this now moment. And below the line is sort of the opposite of that. I'm anxious, I'm fearful. There's not enough. There's not enough time, resources, or energy, or people. All those things. You're an enemy to me, or if you might be against me, the world might be against me. So all of us sort of dip down into that world, but the idea is to continue to come up higher. So we're working on that on the board level as well. The Q process now we've done twice. I have to say, it's going really splendidly, and I think you all have the highest number of worksheets completed from any group I've done. Yeah, so that says that you're committed and really wanting to do this work. Yeah, I've been doing this 5 years. Thank you. So I've been working with lots of groups, and most of them show up with a lot less. So your intention and your commitment is exemplary, and so I want you to know that your board is out there leading the way. That they're the first to do this work, to become aware of who they are in the midst of challenge or the storm, but also who they are as a divine being. So we don't want to overlook that either. Yes. Yes, January 18th. January 18th, and hopefully maybe, is that the next one? Yeah, there it is right there. Yeah, no, good question. Way to go, Allison. Yeah, January 18th. And Brother Thomas is becoming a coach. Reverend Levitt is already a coach. Reverend Margie is becoming a coach, and Mary Paulson is already a coach. So you're already in great hands before I even leave, and that's very exciting to me because that's about living above the line, right? So living above the line is becoming conscious and aware of who I am as I'm interacting with others in this world. So we're very active in the mission-centric model, and I think we've talked about that most of the meetings we've come to. We're moving out of minister-centric, where the focus is pretty much on we identify as our minister, into a mission. We identify as the purpose of why we gather together. And the minister is one integral part, but not the biggest reason we come to church. Or we don't identify ourselves as, well, this is Reverend Sky's church, or anything like that. So, but every ministry is going through this that are sort of on the cutting edge of what do we need to grow into. And that is because all churches, not just Unity, are having a paradigm shift. We're seeing much less people going to church, and we need to pay attention to that. And so we're moving into a new way of doing ministry. It's a 400-year model of a minister-centric. So it's going to take a little time to shift how we do our organizational work. But anyway, we're working hard on that. There's some video work. What's next? We're also working with a program called TED, which is actually the Empowerment Dynamic, TED. And it's work that is based upon the drama triangle, looking at the victim consciousness, the rescuer, and the persecutor. And so we're inverting that drama and creating, and now we become, instead of the victim, we're becoming the co-creator with life. Instead of the rescuer, we're becoming a coach to others. And instead of the persecutor, we're becoming the challenger. So we can put a positive spin on those attributes and qualities, but we can let go of drama. Anybody would like to let go of drama in their life? Yeah. So we're all done with that, right? That's played its role, and we don't want to live in that arena anymore. So there's 4 of us actively in training on that. So maybe by January we'll have something rolled out that we can start a class on that as well. So it's all about waking up, cleaning up, and maturing into our spiritual selves. And I love this. This is from the book Canoeing the Mountain. So the title itself says a lot. Well, how in the world do you canoe a mountain, right? So, the people, let's see, in the Pacific Northwest, Lewis and Clark, there we go, had made an expedition to get to the Pacific Northwest by canoeing. They thought that the Mississippi River would go all the way through. Well, surprise, surprise, there's a whole bunch of mountains before, so they had to let go of the canoe and get through that mountain. So that's what that's about, and that's what ministry is about now. We have never been where we're going, so we have to let go of the old. We need to hospice the old, and midwife the new. Hospice the old way and midwife the new. And so we don't always know what that's going to look like. Yes? Right. So we need to be flexible and trusting and faithful that God is guiding us individually, collectively as a ministry, and globally as a movement, unity worldwide. So grateful to bring that to you. And then Todd Bollinger, I love this description. Leadership is energizing a community of people toward their own transformation in order to accomplish a shared mission in the face of a changing world. And that's what this leadership is now really focused on, is becoming mission-centric so we don't lose our way. So it's empowering, and we finally got Ralph to memorize it, and it's so good. No, he's doing a great job. So, okay, do I have any more? No. So I'd love to open it up to any questions just for me. Is there any questions for me? Yes. I will be doing January Q process along with my team.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, along with my team. Yes. Yeah, and we'll continue with the compassionate communication class. I hope to do more with that. We've got a great group that meets regularly, and I hope to invite them into helping me create this Ohana Circle. So we're using some of that language in that circle of being able to express authentically and honestly. Yeah, and compassionately. Yeah, so open to your questions. And thank you, is it Sandra? Yeah, for your questions about the bylaws and all of that. And that's just so important because, last year, the elections was sort of a mess, right? It was just a mess. And we all know it. And so we're trying to clean that up and do it differently. So thank you for being real and asking some great questions, intelligent questions about bylaws and nomination team, and I was totally confused. I'm like, we have a nominating committee, we have election committee, and an election procedures committee. So something went wrong here, right? So I just love talking the truth, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, we're just not hiding from that. So we are trying to get it simplified and according to bylaws, but also according to what happened here. So we don't want to throw it all out, which was my idea, but we want structure and we want order, but yet the consciousness in which we're moving into this election will be about honesty and trusting. So if your name's not on the list and you say you're a member, by God, you're a member, right?
Yes.
It's not going to be, give me your driver's license and your birth certificate, it'll be, yeah, come and join with us. And be together. So, thank you. Yes.
I just wanted to acknowledge the amount of time and work that you have put into everything that you've done in the community. And I think people have no idea how much it takes to do what we've been doing, and Denise has been an integral part of all of that, and works many long hours, and all the different options that you're bringing into the community. So I just want to acknowledge and thank you for your good work.
Thank you. Thank you. It is my joy, and I'm so hopeful for our future together because you're engaging. And the energy's already shifting. I'm hearing so much feedback from so many people, and it's all you. I can't do that. It has to be all of you. So I'm grateful and blessed to be an integral part of that, but it's not me. It's all of us together. So we're getting that, and that's exciting because you're healing and you're waking up in the process. I mean, our board is, they're going to be flying high by the time I'm gone. It's like, wow, I know more. And but that's the good news. And then when we're serving at a high level, like on the leadership team, that's how it should be, that we are growing by leaps and bounds. Yeah. So thank you. Okay?
So I've got,
Okay. Sure.
do you have time for one more?
Yes.
Okay. So I have just one quick statement and then a question. As psychologists, we've found out that the third stage of grief, which was bargaining, one of the things that has to happen is that the people have to develop what didn't get developed during the grief, trauma, this and that. So it really gave us something to do, instead of going back and forth. Because of that, and you're developing it, but developing it in a new paradigm, there's, leading edge. My question is, having been through the Q process and how wonderful it is, has anybody done, or has any group done, a Q process on the grief with Reverend Sky and the next two ministers to find out maybe as a group collectively, what is our lesson, what do we need to develop, and go into the Q card and see what can happen?
What a great idea. Do you want to join me with that?
I would love to.
Okay, that sounds beautiful, because I know that there's grief still lingering.
Yeah.
And, you've done a lot of processes and time's gone by, but there's still that.
Yeah.
And so we're at another level, aren't we? There's
We
a
are.
little more emotional and spiritual maturity here. And so I'd love to do that. That sounds great.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll address it from a whole new angle. Yeah.
Okay.
And we've done a little of that even in the training that we've had, thanks to Reverend Denise at the board level. So we went through a bit of the hop cough again.
We actually did. We did a whole worksheet together as a board. We did a whole worksheet together as a board, and then we shared our experience
Right.
with one another.
And this is a little different than the hop cough because it takes it another couple steps. This process.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Right.
But hop cough is really good, but this is going, I
Right.
think, two more steps.
And it is, and we're kind of doing a Q card for the church next that we're looking at doing, and that'll be in the December training. And so yes, thank you very much. I appreciate that, so that we can do. Yes, Joanne.
The December Q training is when? December. Yeah.
There's not a December Q training we're doing. Right. We're finishing the one that's, yeah. And I may have misspoke. If I misspoke, I'm sorry. And do sign up, because we've even got people from the mainland wanting to come out and join us for the January one. And so it's going to be a popular thing. So, are you ready, Debbie?
Thank you. I have financial statements for anybody who's interested, and mine is going to be very short. I think Allison needs one, Joanne needs one. Okay. So if you have any questions, having received the financials, please come and see me, and I can explain any numbers that might be curious to you. My report is primarily that we are working on the budget. And I'm working very closely with Reverend Johanna and Amy to develop the budget for next year. While Amy spends the majority of her time on the school's financials, she also has to prepare the payroll for both the school and the church staff. So she's very helpful in those areas. This is also the first year that both Johanna and I are seeing the full cycle of finances, and it's been a true learning experience for me. This time spent developing the budget is also assisting in planning for such things as grounds maintenance, event planning, and annual audits. So, we're looking at how do we put these items into the budget and truly set the money aside so that we're able to pay for our annual audits rather than it being a surprise at the end of the year. While I would have wanted to finish the budget in time for our November Finance Committee meeting, the biggest challenge that I've had is just to fit the time in to get with both Reverend Johanna and Amy. But we continue to move forward. And I'm sure that by December, the budget will be cleared so that the board will be able to approve it come January board meeting.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Latrice. I manage the Ho'opono program for 1.5 years. My question and my offer is I have donors who approach me who want to give to the ministry of Ho'opono, but without clear direction and volunteers, I'm unable to direct them and let them know that, yes, this is a great investment for the church and its ministry. So I invite anyone to offer up guidance, and also how does the Ho'opono fund, does it grow? Does it stay the same as far as like where the potential can go? Because people want to donate to it. So if you had $10,000 in a Ho'opono fund, what would you do with it? Where does it go? Who decides that? So I'm looking for feedback there.
So not necessarily a question, just putting out their information with regards to Ho'opono. Thank you. Thank you very much.
When is the January board meeting? What day, do you know yet? Just offhand? Okay, that Thursday, there's, okay. Okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, did everybody get that? We believe that the January board meeting will be the 23rd of January. It would be the Thursday. Usually it's the third Thursday, but it also depends on when the 10th falls. So we can verify that for you.
Yeah, I'm almost positive it's the 23rd. The 16th, the 16th is when we will have the Finance Committee meeting, because we do it the first Thursday after the 10th of the month. The reason for doing it after the 10th of the month, that's when we get Stephen Lee's data for us. And so having a Finance Committee meeting without any of the data doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we do it after the 10th.
Oh, really quick, there was a question there earlier. The Ho'opono fund, is it its own separate fund? Is it able to grow? Can people donate to it? And then, how does that work? Or is it just...
Yes, we do have a special accounting line for the Ho'opono fund. And in addition, we also do have a regular donor to that fund. So I couldn't tell you at this point in time just how much money is in there, but we do have money in that fund. In addition, it isn't restricted. However, it is its own special line item, so we would be able to find out how much is there.
So if someone made a donation to it, they just write on the check or whatever it is for Ho'oponopono?
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, and I think you guys know that in the past we've had Ho'opono as part of the local ministry for the tithe from the church. And then we considered is tithing to a part of the mission of ourself, truly a tithe. How do we do that? And then for a period of time, Ho'opono was not having as much activity going out, so we put a hold on that for a period of time till we were able to discern what the proper way of being able to help fund Ho'opono was. But we are most certainly willing to talk about it, work with you, and see what we can do to make, because what you were doing and what you're doing of feeding and taking care of is an amazing outreach and a ministry of this church. So thank you. Thank you so much. Amen. Okay, any other questions for Debbie? All right. Next one up is Let's Chat. And thank you, Debbie. Next up is Let's Chat. Any questions that you guys have at the present time? Yes, Cindy. Mic me.
Hey, this just came up, and I just want to bring it up to the board because you're here. So I just had an opportunity to walk out into our parking lot, and was brought to my attention that our handicap placards are very faded, and the handicap spaces on our ground are actually almost non-existent. And so I'm just bringing that up to the board and to our congregation, that this is an opportunity for us to step it up, and that certain people weren't actually able to make church today because of it. So again, we need it to be well marked, well signaged, and it's not that much for us to do. And I know that there's people willing to put forth their talents at paint. And I'm just putting it out there. So thank you.
No, thank you so much. I appreciate that greatly. Yeah, and make sure that whenever things like that come up, let us know, because we certainly, extra eyes make a huge amount of difference. Other questions people have? The secretary will take care of making sure that that's written down for us, and I will put it in I'll either put it in the board agenda for January, or we'll get taken care of before we get there, which I hope to have done, and we will have it done out of facilities. We'll just get it done. Get her done. Get her done. All right. Anything else? Well, I do want to say thank you so much for the stability, the love, the patience, the honoring, and the centeredness that everybody is displaying in the church. The loving hearts and being the anchor, making things to where we are not being tossed around in the storm is such a wonderful feeling. And it's because of people that are here that are making that way. There's nothing the board can do with that. We can help, but it really is the congregation and the sensitivity, the place that everybody is that is making that difference. So I applaud each of you, and I honor and applaud you. So thank you. Thank you very much. Yes. Amen. Amen. All right. Well, if there is nothing else, we will be able to get out a little bit early. It is about, oops, I'm sorry.
Maybe you could say a little bit about the need for board members to run and nominating committee members, just so we have all that.
Yeah, there will be 4. I think you guys probably already know. The way that the bylaws read last year, when we approved them in 2018, was that if anybody drops off from the board will elect a person to run for the duration of that person's year, not their term, but their year, and then at the annual meeting, it will come back up for a new vote. Now, bear with me for a minute as I say this then. At present, you know that Joanne Adams left. Joanne was on the board for 1 year, and then Ann Valerone came on, and she served at the board's selection a year. So that position will be for 1 more year. That term will be for 1 more year. So at the annual meeting this year, there will be three-year term positions open, and a 1-year term position that will be open. So we will be needing to get 4 people on the board, and the one that gets the highest number of votes selects, do they want a 1-year or a 3-year term? And if there's a 2-year that comes up, then you can select the 2. But the highest number of votes gets to choose, and it goes until there are only 3-year terms, 2-year terms, 1-year terms left. And then everybody, Yes. That is in the bylaws. That's the way that it's in there. So
Whose 3-year terms are up?
So the three people that were elected 3 years ago included Debbie, Kathy Whitmire, and me. So the three of us are up. So the three of us can run for one more term. You can only run twice without being off for a year, and then you can go back on, but you got to take a year off. So there'll be three of us, and then Joanne's 1-year term will be up for the congregation to select. So if there are people that you want, please talk it up and get people to let the nominating committee know. And right over here is a great person to let know as soon as you can, because the nominating committee is in the process. So Francine and Cindy are the two that are from the congregation, and the Chris is the board liaison to the nominating committee. So those are your three people, and Reverend Denise. So there's the four with the minister that are the people to let know if you're interested. And there will be people going around trying to talk you guys up into doing. The board, the bylaws read that it is the nominating committee's endeavor to get 2 people per position. So with 4 open, that means 8 would be what the nominating committee is going to endeavor to find. Okay? And I think there's a number of, I don't know who was up first. I'm sorry. Joanne?
I'll be quick. So are you and Kathy and Debbie running again? Are you putting your names into the hat?
I am.
Okay.
Debbie is.
And Debbie is.
I don't know what Kathy's
just
decision
doing. Just
has
wondered.
been.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sure.
She's right there. She's right behind you.
Yes, I'll be running again.
Perfect. So 3 of the 4 of us, are going to run again.
Okay, good. Because I wanted to ask, is anybody here in this room interested in running?
No, please, if you are interested, make sure that you get your information over so that the 4 can go ahead.
So if we want to suggest somebody to the nominating committee, we can do that too, and then they can approach the person and see if they're interested.
Most certainly. That is the way
sometimes,
that.
yeah.
I was going to say it might be a good idea to ask the person first if they would take it if offered.
Yeah, that's what we would like to have happen. And you probably know that one of the things that will come up, the way that things are written at present, is that if a person is nominated from the floor at the time of the meeting, they will still have to go through the vetting process. Now, they may end up being elected because the numbers are such, but if the vetting process finds that there's a problem, that decision will be brought to the board. The board will have to decide whether they are going to nullify that nomination and then select a person to replace them. That's the way that the bylaws now read. That's what will probably happen.
Reverend Deneen? Oh, did you want to say something? Oh. Okay. I proposed that any nominations from the floor be done 10 days in advance of the election so that they could be vetted. Do you know anything in UWM policies that would either support that or say, sorry? Oh, you told me state law says you have to have nominations from the floor at that date. And we can't, there's no way around that. Is that?
That's the way that the rules read. But we certainly want, as much as possible, to let that go. Let the nominating committee know at least a week, 2 weeks in advance so that they can do what needs to be done. I mean, it's not going to be fun for anybody to be nominated, elected by the congregation, and then be told that they don't meet the vetting process. That will not be pretty. So please. Yeah. Okay.
And
any other?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I just wanted to add to,
Issue.
the congregation or the membership also elects the nominating committee members. So just if that's alive in anyone's heart, to be a part of that process and, kind of be mindful of who's running for the board and, how we look at, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, all those kind of things. So we need people that are willing to do that process. Or if you know someone else in the community who has that ability of discernment, it would be great to kind of approach them and ask, because that's also elected by the membership.
Exactly. And one of the things that came, I think everybody knows, from the church's attorney, was Andy Bunn, when he looked at our bylaws stuff, and when the concern came up of, is the nominating committee stepping too far, doing more than just seeing if they've been a member for a year, he said not only does the nominating committee have the duty, the responsibility, but they have got the responsibility to ensure that a good vetting process occurred. So his thing was, you cannot bring down the responsibilities. You cannot put limits on what it is that the nominating committee should do. Now, obviously, there's things you can't do. You can't ask, have you ever had a child out of wedlock? Those kind of questions are things you can't ask, but can you ask things that are important? And obviously, the answer to that is yes. Okay? I'm sorry. Other questions?
This is not in regards to the election, so if anybody has any other questions about that?
There's been a lot of confusion over the vetting process. What is the vetting process? I mean, just some basic information.
So yes, the things that we'll include in that will be a background check. There will be qualifications. So there are 10 qualifications that are in the bylaws. It's kind of, as I recall, there's like 5 criteria or qualifications that are under board members, but under those are subcategories. So what there are is there's 10 when you look at it. Do you contribute to the church? Do you do SEE classes? Are you a continuing member? Do you attend? There's all of those things that we can do. But in addition to that, there were a number of things that the nominating committee is going to take up. There are going to be soft ones as well of what are you like? What kind of an individual are you? What will you have to offer? What are the things that you have got that will benefit this church? Things that are extremely important, particularly as we start looking at making sure that we've got a well-rounded board, not everybody being of one particular type of personality type, so that we, as a D, as a person that is kind of driven, there are things that I miss, and I need the compulsive, making sure everything gets done, the spiritual, making sure that everybody is in alignment, those kinds of things, because I may, if I'm a D, I may miss. So there's all of those personality types. We just need a well-rounded board so that we know who it is that we're. Oh, yes. And the Q process will become one of those pieces that we will need to make sure that people have taken the Q process, because it's an extremely willing to take it and or have. Yes. Yes. Okay. Were there other questions? Joanne, did you have? Okay. All right. Oh, that's right.
Back to me. I wanted to check in and see how we're doing on our donation campaign.
Well, we got a little confused, to be real honest with you. And so I'm not real positive where we are. And I think that probably I need to leave it at that, because I don't want to say anything that shouldn't be disclosed. A number came in for a donation that wasn't what the intended number was, so we've got to clean that one up and make sure that that's all fixed. So that's the reason I kind of skimmed over that one. But I can tell you that we're somewhere in the neighborhood. The donor of the Cornerstone plus board is still at 49,500, 510, 49,510. That number is solid. The number from congregant is a little of a question because now we got to go back and change the number that came in that was a mistake. And it was a mistake that was made by the congregant that we just need to clean that one up. So I don't know the true answer to your question, but we're somewhere in the neighborhood of 20,000 or thereabouts shy of where we need to be able to make the 49,510. So yeah, we're somewhere in the. I think we're going to be someplace in the 28, 27,000 that we still need from the congregation to be able to match all of the amount that we had.
Because
we have received. It's right at 30, 20, 22. So it's 30 minus 9, I think we're right at 22, 23 now when we make the correction. So that's the amount that we've got that has come in, and we're trying to match, obviously, the 49, so there's still like 26 or something like that, 27, 28, somewhere in that neighborhood, and I apologize for not being able to give you the total exact numbers. I'll be as transparent as I can be, but because we haven't added those up and changed the numbers around, that's why I don't know for sure. Amen. Hallelujah. That's very, very true. So thank you, Jan. Thank you very much. Yes, we are extremely grateful for the generosity. It's amazing. Yes, very much so.
I just want to end on a quick positive note. I mean, this is all positive. The services are so beautiful. The music. I've heard so many comments, and I know when Margie came back, she couldn't say enough. She just said, something's happening. It's out of the ballpark. I mean, she was gone for 2 or 3 months, so she's before and after the transformation. And myself, it's just more, every week is more and more beautiful. It's getting heavenly in here.
Amen. Amen. I agree. So with that, if everybody can join me, if you can stand, we'll get in a circle and we will weave as we close. You can. You do the weaving. We'll do the weaving.
Oh, here's Lovett.
All righty. Thank you guys so much. And come on around just a little further. There we go. All right. You ready? Weave, weave, weave us together. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave, weave, weave us together. Weave us together in unity and love. Thank you guys so much.
Hoorah.
Amen.
Look at that.
1 minute till.
Who took your daughter and replaced her with her?
Exactly. Exactly.
Beautiful replication. Yeah.
All right. Blessings to one and all. Thank you.
Jericho.
Yay. Yes.